Okay, so what is conditioning and old limiting belief systems?
Behavioral psychologists claim that free will was an illusion. According to this theory, we may think that we buy toothpaste because we want to, but in fact, we are doing so because of the influence of past experience. Every piece of behavior is the product of past rewards and punishments. Another way of looking at this is that we do not act, only react, which is called our history of conditioning. For example, if snakes frightened you as a child, you will project that fear onto snakes today. If your father was an alcoholic, your judgment about someone who drinks alcohol will be clouded by your painful past experiences. It is the same with guns. Guns kill people. In actual fact, people use guns to kill people. Instead of fearing the person with the gun, we learn to fear the guns. Beliefs are not the same for everyone. They can be held by an individual or a small or large group of people. We learn these belief systems from our parents, society, family, the media, from what we see, hear, taste, smell, and feel about certain things. Examples of cultural beliefs. Having many children in a large family symbolizes fertility and wealth. Actually, it is a generational pattern. Not much thought is given to the impact on the government, the country's economy, or the planet. Parents work very hard and spend long hours providing for their children materially, and not aware that they are emotionally and physically absent in the most formative years of the children's lives.
That's all very interesting. The current situation, for example, of teenage pregnancies that we mentioned in the beginning, and polygamy is another example of generational programming without much thought given to the respect, honoring, and being emotionally present to the well-being and provision for the children and wives. Hence, young girls seek the father figure and fulfilling their material needs through the sugar daddy concept.
Yes, this is huge in South Africa at the moment. Also, Rod, racial, tribal, class and caste systems were very dominant centuries ago and are still very much prevalent in many societies today. The other phenomenon that goes back many centuries is the reverence of the male child solely for the purpose of being a warrior, protector and heir to the throne, and of course, to continue the generational lineage of tradition. Women had little or no rights, and they were hugely abused sexually, physically, verbally, emotionally, and financially, with no voice, as the laws did not support them adequately. Much of what the world is experiencing today are carryovers from the past. Most of the problems that we are challenged with globally are issues that are very deeply embedded in our subconscious mind, which we are not aware of. A silent inner programming, which is on autopilot. It is evident also that the intellect on its own may not resolve these problems.
Yes, I'm quite intense about those, particularly now, especially that it's time to change all those generational things. And I don't think we really have time to waste on allowing them to unfold over the next several generations, especially when we have the know-how to change that now in the current days that we're living. You know, Krishnamurti, the author and who wrote in 1954.
He's quite a famous Indian author.
Yes, and a philosopher as such.
Yes.
And he wrote in his book, The First and Last Freedom, and I quote, "War is the spectacular and bloody projection of our everyday life, is it not? War is merely an outward expression of our inward state, an enlargement of our daily action. It is more spectacular, more bloody, more destructive, but it is the collective result of our individual activities. So it depends upon you and not on the leaders, not on so-called statesmen and all of the rest of them. It depends upon you and me, but we do not seem to realize that. If once we really felt the responsibility of our own action, how quickly we would bring to an end all these wars, this appalling misery. To put an end to outward war, you must begin to put an end to war in yourself. They will be stopped only when you realize the danger, when you realize your responsibility, when you do not leave it to somebody else. If you realize the suffering, if you see the urgency of immediate action and do not postpone, then you will transform yourself. Peace will only come when you yourself are peaceful, when you yourself are at peace with your neighbor." Unquote.
Wow, what amazing wisdom. As we come to know, Rod, that the more we release and clear out our past painful experiences, the freer we become, the greater the soul's liberation.